I'm Jeremiah Boucher, a commercial real estate investor with over 20 years experience. This show is designed to help you build your business, become a better real estate investor, and help you see opportunities that will keep you ahead of the competition. This is Finding Your Edge. What's up, guys? Jeremiah Boucher here, Finding Your Edge podcast. Another episode coming at you. I'm going to freestyle this one. Just wrapped up doing a couple conferences here in Las Vegas. Spoke about commercial real estate, education, about people starting out in real estate. How can they get started? What do they focus on? And then also what's going on with the state of the market? What's going on with the different categories of real estate? I actually want to talk more about this concept of freedom. So this isn't really commercial real estate based, but when I was up on stage and sharing some of the things that I've learned over my career, I was realizing that a lot of people want financial freedom. They want financial independence. And a real close best friend of mine here, we would talk about this concept back and forth about what is true freedom. And growing up without a lot of money and with a lot of scarcity around money and with a lot of tension in the house, there was this perception in my eyes that culturally I was programmed, if I make enough money, then I'll be happy and I'll be free. And in America, we've all been sold this bill of goods, right? And I'm sure if anyone's made any money out there, just because you have money does not mean you're happy. And honestly, I don't even believe in happiness as a destination or state. I actually believe in progress. Like I love making progress and growth because that is fulfillment and that enriches my life. Happiness in my eyes is just a feeling that comes and goes. And you have to feel sad in order to feel happy. And that's more philosophical, but around the concept of freedom. So I thought, okay, money is going to make me free, feel safe, feel free, feel independent, feel just super happy, right? And that's not real. And what I focused on was, okay, so then as I got money and I started to feel more empty, I thought, okay, well, what is real freedom then? And then I thought, well, freedom is the ability to choose what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whoever I want to do it with. And that's great. That sounds great. But internally, just because you have the freedom or the resources to go indulge and do whatever you want, spend money, have all the relationships you want, do anything you want, right? That also, in my eyes, didn't fulfill me, or is not something that feels truly free, because there's always something pulling at you, right? The cravings, the urges, the more. It's the heart of addiction, because at the source of everything, you still don't feel comfortable or you feel settled in yourself or in the present moment. And that to me always is eating at me, because I always feel like I should be doing something else. I got to be achieving more, building more, acquiring more friends, more fun, whatever it is. And it just very, very little peace involved with it. So what I've learned over the years is that this next level of freedom is where you have this discipline, right? How Jocko talks about discipline is freedom. And that is true to a degree. I think at this phase of my life, structuring habits, rituals, routines, like guardrails of where I go on my highs and on my lows. Like if you're buying a stock, you straddle it where you sell or you buy if it hits certain prices, or a thermostat where if it gets too hot or it gets too cold, you know how to level out the temperature. And I believe at this time in my life, that type of discipline and structure really helps me stay grounded in who I am. And it allows me to feel more free, because there's not the emotional roller coaster of all these highs and lows. And in my book, Finding Your Edge, one of the principles is never get too high, never get too low. And over the last 5 years, I've really implemented that, where it's time to throw out the trash. If there is something that I do, a habit or ritual that I don't feel good about, like if I overeat too much, or if I actually even work out way too hard and I'm trash for days, or if I go out drinking, or if I'm spending time with toxic people, or I'm just completely out of balance, right? Or I'm completely emotional with anger, frustration, or just rage. All these things put me out of whack. Just because you have the ability and resources to do these things doesn't mean that you're free. This is what I've learned. So it's like having that guardrail where even in the moment when emotionally it feels good and I want to have a lot of fun, party or whatever, like I know the consequences to this. So I don't go to any of these clubs with these networking groups with brokers or bankers or investors. And I don't need to go to these environments because I don't feel good. I don't like being out in that environment. I don't like being around those people. I don't like being really tired or being around tons of alcohol. And that's just me. So in other people's eyes, like, oh, you're not free. You don't get to go do whatever you want to do. But now I'm so integrated where I know what I want and what I don't want. And I don't want those things in my life. And that discipline creates freedom for me. And that's on the downside too, where things don't feel good. I feel sad. I feel down. I feel lonely. I feel like depleted, like, why am I doing all this? Or a relationship's not working out. I'm afraid of, okay, well, what do I have to start over? Or, that was a waste. And that's the thing too, is that floor is not letting myself go to that place where it's just, I want to go find a way to get out of it and just go chase some pleasure or some type of quick fix. And that's freedom too, to be able to say, no, I don't tolerate that. Like, I'm going to handle this and I'm going to just endure the pain and I'm going to explore, why don't I feel good? What are the beliefs? What are the ideas? What are the circumstances, the people? Like, what do I feel I lost? Or what is this imaginary gain that I feel like I'm getting through this person or this thing that I no longer will tolerate? And allowing myself to just feel that pain. And that also is freedom, I believe. So it's been an evolution for me that freedom doesn't mean you do whatever you want, when you want, with whoever you want. In my eyes, freedom is knowing who you are, knowing what you stand for, and knowing that you can commit to it and that you can count on yourself. And in turn, other people can count on you. And that's something that I've been able to develop over the 25 years of business after quitting college, is that ability to first count on myself, to believe in myself. And that's where you can't lie to anybody, because you're the only one that looks at yourself in the mirror and has that self-perception, right? That self-confidence or that self-esteem. Like, you are the only one that gets to decide that. Nobody else, no matter how much validation you get out there. And I believe it's through those consistent reps of just showing up. And I'm not saying develop or build the game in a way that you can never achieve it. Like, I'm only going to feel like I'm a success if I'm a billionaire. Like, that could get there, or if I even would want to, but it would be develop my whole life. I'd have to take every waking moment to try to achieve that goal before I can feel happy or feel fulfilled or have confidence. And that's not real. I'm talking about setting the floor where I got up and I did my exercise. I got up and had that tough conversation with my partner or my relationship, or I had the challenging conflict with my parents, or I was able to tell an employee that we no longer are a good fit, or be able to celebrate like a huge win and be able to strategically use that money for good things, for building something and not just blowing it. All these different things and these choices come from that self-awareness. And that, to me, is ultimate freedom, to be able to have that awareness and have that agency that I am capable of doing whatever I put my mind to. And if I let myself down, I don't beat myself up. I'm compassionate about myself too. That, to me, is more important than any external thing. And that gets hard when, it's temptation is out there. Money, power, sex, lust, desire, all these things will cloud our mind. But that's the human drama. And what I realized, though, is the precious nature of time. A friend of mine gave me a picture that projected my age at 80 years old. And I look at it and I look like my dad. My dad's only 66, but I still I looked like my dad. And it made me realize, like, man, in the next 40, 35 years, I'll be 80 years old and the time is ticking down. Every day is precious. And there isn't this big payoff if I work really hard, or if I get the right relationship or the right deal or the right business, that I get to feel happy and I get to feel fulfilled in my life. That day never comes. And that to me is like, wow, like, I only have now. So if I'm going to continue to defer feeling good, I am going to wake up one day at 80 years old and my life passed me by because I deferred all of these days for some future payoff that never came. And that scares me. I don't want to waste this life. Yes, being productive and growing my skills is super important, but I want to feel the payoff. I want to feel the joy, the adventure, the curiosity, the growth, the love, the contribution, all of it. So that concept of time really struck me deeply. Secondly, playing long-term games with long-term people. And I'm writing a chapter in my new book about it. Playing the long game. Instead of looking at the short game of getting a success, of finding the next way to earn $1 or negotiate a deal. Like, those are fine. But ultimately, it's what game am I playing long term? And is the action that I'm taking building on that long-term plan? And am I investing in a relationship with somebody that I'm going to have a long-term relationship with, either as a partner or as a business partner, intimate partner, as a long-term friendship, and trusting in my gut. Trusting in my intuition of, is this person someone I want to build with? That way, if something goes wrong, or if there's conflict, or if there's disappointments, or there's failures, the investment in the relationship is the ultimate win and gift. And that way, we can continue to grow and build regardless of what results happen. And I thought about this where, wow, so actually, in all areas of my life, what I want to do is I want to design games where there's multiple ways to win. And what I mean by that is, when I play the game of real estate investing, I built that game in a way where I feel really good about my life because there's 10 different ways to win. What I mean by that is, one, I get to make money, which is great. That's an ultimate win. Number two, I get to learn how to be a leader and how to get people to collaboratively work together allocate our resources to creating and building things. 3, I get to be creative. So I get to use my creative skills. And this is why I like calculus. I wasn't great at it, but the concepts around it of structuring deals in ways that can meet multiple problems from multiple parties in a way that achieve a solution. And I get to use that creativity in this business. 4, I get to learn how to communicate. I get to do this where I get to practice. How do I want to express myself? How do I articulate my ideas? How do I think about my business? And that communication feels amazing. That's a payoff in its own. Next, I get to have the camaraderie and to be able to have my teammates with me, be like a coach. I can allocate their talents, their resources, put them in a position to be successful, pull them out of a position if it's truly not in their heart and that's not in their nature of doing what they do. And then in turn, I can build a culture. And that way we can compete as a team. Because I love team sports. I love competing. I love sports. I love the game itself, the nature of it, waking up every morning with no cap of my potential. And those things, those multiple ways of being in the business and then ultimately being able to contribute to actually help people have affordable housing, help people have warehouses they can start their own business and grow their own company out of, help people free up space and be able to store their goods and have more organized space. Like these things, I mean, they don't light me up extremely like to a point where I'm super excited. But I love contributing and serving these customers so that ultimately I can serve investors and I can create more wealth and abundance. So there's all these layers of wins that I get. But the day-to-day stuff of the communication, the leadership, the creativity, the excitement, the adventure of unknown, not knowing, what's going to happen next, the travel. Like I won the game even before a dollar hits my bank account. That was an interesting concept to me. And then I related it over to health. And with health is just having to do weightlifting or having to go walk or be on a treadmill. Like that's boring. I'm never going to stick with that. But if I can, 1, feel better, where I have a lot more energy. 2, I get to move my body and I get to learn how to move my body and learn about flexibility and the mechanics and strength of it. And then 3, I get to look good, right? My body is attractive and I really feel good. Next is I can learn a sport. So I love martial arts and I love pickleball and basketball. And if I could perform better and play a sport, all these things I can layer on there. And then I get the chemical dopamine of actually feeling that high and feeling the rhythm and feeling my body, like being connected to my body. Those are like 5, 6 ways to win that game rather than just, I need to burn calories or I need to get on the treadmill. And that's why I consistently keep doing it because I enjoy it because there's multiple ways to win. And I can connect with other people. Like it's a way I can go meet up with a buddy and play a sport or work out together. And I meet that need of having that connection with other people. I believe that's a great way with anything in your life. You're only going to do what you really want to do. And so many people say, I should do this. I must do that. I have to go do this. Like you don't have to do anything. There's consequences, but no one's got a gun to your head. And then you get to decide. And our actions are the loudest words that are being expressed. Words mean nothing. What you do every single day is what you value, what you care about. If you don't do it, the honest truth, you don't care about it. That's for me. So if I do something, that means I value it. And all decision-making is value clarification. So if I'm clear on what I value and why I want to do something, and the fact that I actually go out and do it means that that's important to me. And that's what other people see, and that's how they perceive me of what's important to me. So it's nice to have this level of insight. But let me tie it back to freedom. I think self-awareness, understanding the value of time, understanding where the parameters are of what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to do in life, and having those guardrails around who you're going to spend time with, what you choose to do with your life, how you show up every single day with your emotions, the highs and the lows. Developing those guardrails, in my eyes, is helping me be more free, not restricting me. Knowing how to win multiple ways of playing a game, so there's multiple payoffs, is ultimately making me more free, not tying me to something I have to do every single day. I'm just finding more freedom through doing these things because I meet all of these areas of my life. And then lastly, my friend, Hannah, she told me these questions. She's doing a talk about freedom, about changing your legacy in your life. And she asked me these 3 questions. So who do I have to forgive in order to feel more free? The next question is, what beliefs am I holding on to that are holding me back from being free? And the third question, what would my life look like if I were completely free? So the first question is, who do I have to forgive in order to be free? Well, I've been going through this exercise with my mentor and coach who taught me this strategy called recontextualization. It's difficult, where I'm exploring the relationship with my parents. I have a mom, a dad, and a stepdad that helped raise me. And that relationship with my parents dictated probably 80% or more of my personality, because that was the model of my world when I was a little kid. And a lot of the beliefs and habits and ideas, who I am, who my identity is, came from them. And that's all psychological mumbo jumbo. But what I really mean by that is I mirroring and match them, their body language, their emotions, their habits. I didn't really listen to what they said. I just mirrored who they were and I modeled it. And I said, I don't want to be like that, or I do want to be like that. And I want to find a way where I earn their love, because that was my only source of survival as a little kid. So I look at my parents and my relationship with them, and I thought to myself, I would highlight the things that I don't like about them. The worst things, the things that really bother me, where I feel restricted, I feel constrained, like I clamor up around them. And then I highlight those things about all the things that really, really aggravate me or that I don't feel happy about regarding them and why I avoided them for so long. And then I looked at those things, and then I wrote out these 7 steps of recontextualizing what is it that I don't like. And then next is, what about me? What are the victim mentalities? Like, what are the identities that I created for myself through having to adapt as a little kid that make me feel this way, that make me highlight in this person why I hate these things? And then I would look at why I'm a hypocrite, like how I show up in my life doing those same things, and then actually empathizing about what was going on in their life and where they came from in order to have taken those actions or behave that way because of the way they were raised or the culture that they're living in. And then forgiving them for that, like truly forgiving them and seeing it from their perspective and seeing how I've allowed my beliefs and my identity to blame them, that it's their fault that I'm this way, or that I hate them, or they do these things and that they're not what I want around me. So it's this realizing that it's not their fault and it's my choice of how I feel around them. And the way I act and the way I behave, I have no responsibility for how they feel. I don't have to make them happy. I don't need to make them like me or love me. All I can do is be myself and express myself, and they get to choose how they feel. And instead of holding back and being a traitor, not telling people how I really feel or not expressing myself, I'm the only one that's really losing, because I can't be who I really am around them. And then I don't want to be around them because I'm holding back and not expressing myself. I'm going off on this, but I did these letters and I'm forgiving my parents. And I realize that it's not their fault. And I am not free if I'm blaming them as I'm a victim because you did this when I was a kid. You guys got divorced, or I felt alone, or I felt abandoned, or I felt stressed and tense. Like all those things, like it's easy to point the finger, but it's also easy to understand that there was a lot going on and they had a real tough time themselves. I mean, they were 17 and 20 years old when they had me, and it was a different time in the 80s. And they had their own challenges with their own parents, and that my identity is not dictated because of the way that they treated me or the way that I was raised. And I had a lot of love, actually, and I had a lot of great things that they did for me and supported me. But I was hanging on to all these things that I made them wrong for. So I won't get into any more, but tonight I'm doing the last exercise with my stepdad where I'm holding back a lot of resentment and anger for this person coming in my life, where I didn't accept him as my father, and I felt like I lost my mother, and I repressed myself because he's a military guy and he's very strict and very demanding and had very high standards for me, and I resisted him and I never gave him a chance, and I hated him for a long time. And we fought a lot. And I still hold on to that, where I want to avoid him, or I want to avoid confrontation, or I'll avoid saying how I really feel because I know he won't accept it. But at this stage now, it's time to let it go. And I'm talking to him about that tonight, about how I feel and how I understand where he came from and how hard it must have been, and how the standards he gave me commanded me to rise up and actually drove me to take pride in my work, to take responsibility, to actually be accountable, to be dependable, to have pride, to have self-confidence, to be able to push through people's negative limitations or beliefs on me, and to prove that I can do whatever I put my mind to. Like he challenged me in so many areas, and I would have never became who I am without him, without that discipline, without that structure. And that's what he needed in his life, and that's what he gave in me. And I've learned that, and I've learned that how that's an asset for me and how grateful I am that he actually cared and he put a lot of time and energy and pushed me really hard. Even if it didn't show up in a loving way, it ultimately came out of love. That's really going to be powerful tonight. And ultimately, that helps me be more free. Now I don't have to suppress myself around him or my dad or my mom or anyone else because I'm able to forgive them and I'm able to forgive myself. That's what money can't buy that. That is true freedom. The next is, what beliefs am I holding on to that if I were to let go, I would feel more free? This is a tough one. I was journaling about it this morning. I think this idea that I have to be successful to be valued. I have to provide for people in my life for them to love me. I have to feel happy or I'm not living a successful, fulfilled life. I have to always be achieving. The reality is I don't need to do any of those things. Yes, I want to do those things, but that doesn't justify my space on this planet. And I'm still reconciling this because it's still super hard for me to truly believe that if I don't provide value for other people, that I don't deserve to actually be alive. But at least I'm exploring the belief. And I think that there's a point where you take care of yourself, you take care of the people you love, and anything above that, you're either doing it out of fear or you're doing it out of love. And if I keep chasing things out of fear, just because of scarcity or because scarcity of not having enough money or scarcity that someone isn't really going to love me because I don't provide for them, then I think that intention alone is toxic. And that's going to breed a lot of pain for the rest of my life versus waking up and creating out of this sense of creativity and adventure and curiosity, intrigue, collaboration, this passion. Like all that is a totally different inception of an idea or motivation or drive behind an idea than just trying to fill these voids that are created in childhood. So the third question is, what would my life look like if I were free? And that one also is very hard for me to paint that picture because I always thought it was external things where if I just bought a bunch of stuff like really nice houses all over the country and a jet and I had really beautiful people around me and I could do whatever I want with all my time, like, yeah, okay, that'd be free. But I don't think so. I think what my life would look like would be very similar to how it is today, where every day I get to sit and reflect and I get to internally feel and think about what I want to do, where I'm going, who I'm spending my time with. I like to write in my journal. I like to, no matter how much money I had, like I feel most free when I can express myself that way. I would want to continue to do a podcast. I'd want to speak on stage. I'd want to meet interesting people. I'd want to continue to build and develop and buy real estate projects and buy things or create things, make them better. I'd like to find physical space and investments that I can creatively work with my team and find solutions to make it better. And whatever that looks like, housing, warehousing, office, industrial, anything, affordable housing. I think that's fun. That's fascinating. I would spend a lot more time reading and learning, but I want to apply it and do something with it and either teach or apply it in my business. And then also spending a little more time with the close relationships in my life there's no reason I can't do this now, but investing more time in friendships that don't have an underlying money motive, right? Just truly being able to connect with people and spending a little more time with my parents. Not a lot more, just a little bit more. But most times I would spend time with like-minded people that stimulate me and excite me. And then a partner, like having a loving partner I can grow my life with. In terms of relationship. And I'm working on that. And I like where it is and I like where I think I want it to go. And that partnership is the most important thing to me outside of the relationship with myself and being able to invest in that and being honest and open and truly having independence, myself and that person, without entitled control over someone else and truly wanting the best for that person, even if it doesn't benefit me whatsoever, wanting the absolute best for what that person wants in their life. And I feel like if I'm aligned with that person, me investing in that person and helping them realize their dreams and their happiness, like that makes me ultimately happy myself. So that's my rant. Freedom. Ask yourself those questions. Who do you have to forgive to become free? What beliefs are you holding on to that are holding you back from freedom? And what would your life look like if you felt completely free? A little reflection, and everyone's definition is different. I believe there is no defined rules of you need to act this way in order to live a successful or happy life. No, the playbook's inside you. So make your own choice. For more information on commercial real estate investing, go to patriotholdings.com. Thanks for listening to Finding Your Edge.